Welcome back to Conversations That Creates Prosperity. Thank you so much for sticking with me, even when the previous video was not complete. We are still talking about the source of prosperity. If you are here for the first time, welcome. We started before when we were able to figure out where does prosperity start. If you see something flourish, where is the beginning? And we can agree that prosperity is a form of increase. And so we said the law of increase from the Bible, which is my main reference, says seed time and harvest does not cease. And for that law to become truth, you need at least two witnesses. In our own case, we are going to use three witnesses. The first witness, which we started discussing in our previous videos, agriculture, followed by human reproduction and business. The aim of this conversation between us is to help us figure out what is something that I can do today that is going to create prosperity for me, my family, and outlive me and benefit the generation that will come after me. And so let's go ahead and conclude on agriculture. I was told that sometimes I beat about the bush, so I made sure to jot down whatever we are going to be having in this conversation. That's how prepared I am. So I'm going to read from my notes briefly. Agriculture is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of seed time and harvest. Learning and experiencing it makes the concept more vivid. I believe we all need to plant and grow something to really, have a feel of what this is. Recently, I grew fruits, peppers, garden egg with my aunt in her garden. That was an experience that helped me understand, this fundamental truth. I know how I panicked when day in, day out, we would water the plants and nothing came out. I kept thinking, oh, did the seeds die? But eventually, I saw something shoot out and then it continued to grow. How awesome. Now, consider how just one tiny seed that is buried in the ground decays and becomes invisible. At this point, it could be presumed dead. Relying solely on scientific observation, you could call it dead. As, that's something that you hear, that's something that you are taught. But what do you think? I know that everything that has the capacity to increase changes form. If you call it physical death, it means it has changed to a spiritual form. And then it will convert back to physical. There is this duality, physical, spiritual, spiritual, physical. We are going to talk a lot about spirituality here. I've been able to figure out some answers to existential questions that I asked as a kid, and I hope that we can talk about it. If there is a God that exists, why is there evil in the world? There are lots of questions that I've finally been able to figure out, and that is why I want us to have this conversation, because I hope that as we reveal this truth, it will set us free and we can prosper in whatever we choose to do. Let me read what I wrote. I believe that seed could go through physical death so that it can change form and return first as a root, defy gravity, shoot out as a stem, and continue to grow into a tree with fruits. Inside these fruits lies the same seed you planted in multiplied form. Enough seeds to grow a forest, and the cycle continues. Now, at the beginning stage, the seed is fragile. The seed depends on your care, watering, weeding, nurturing, adding nutrients. But after you play your parts, there is a creative process that happens. There is something that is beyond the physical that we cannot clearly put to words that happens that causes the seeds to, become change form. Because come to think about it, when you plant a seed, what comes out does not immediately look like a seed until you eat the fruits and find the seeds, except it is genetically enhanced to be seedless. We're going to discuss that another day. I don't want to talk about GMO for now. All right. So now let me just round up with this. The ultimate work of germination and increase occurs without your active observation and participation. You do something to start a process, but there is a part that you cannot control that happens. And these are some of the amazing things about creating prosperity. It starts with you, but it grows. It becomes bigger than you. But you have to be willing to, ask yourself, what can I start? And that's my question to you. What can you start today that can grow? What can you cultivate today that can grow bigger than you and impact your world? I believe that we all have that seed. And I don't want to sound preachy because I'm having a conversation. I want you to let me know in the comments if this resonates, if there is something that you believe you have that you can multiply. There is something that you believe is missing, because I believe that we all have our unique outlook to life. I believe that we can all have the same businesses, but the way we offer them, our value, there is something that is going to be different about each and every one of them. So there is this AI boom right now, right? This is the AI era. You have lots of businesses that leverage AI or AI-powered businesses, but all of them have one thing that makes them stand out. For example, in the community business, creating online communities, you could see, I don't want to mention names of communities, but there are some communities that what makes them stand out is their e-commerce platform. Another community, what makes them stand out is their course creation platform. Another community, what makes them stand out is their affiliate marketing platform. Now, they will have everything. They will have digital products, community, courses, and checkout. But something will make them stand out from each other because that is their strength. So we all have our context. And by this, I mean, do not be discouraged from doing something because somebody else has done it. That held me back for so long. I remember when my friend would 10, 15 years ago tell me, Peace, you have a unique proposition that nobody can replicate. Just go ahead and do what you need to do. Be confident. But I did not have that confidence. But looking back now, I say, oh my God, this is what I was not able to see. So I am telling you now and I'm encouraging you. If someone is doing something that you want to do not be discouraged. See that as an encouragement. See that as an inspiration. If possible, collaborate. There is something that you bring to the table that is just unique to you. I mean, it is precious. Your idea, your point of view is precious. Do not hide it. Do not be afraid to voice your opinion. All right. Let's move on to the second witness. The second witness is human reproduction. So let me quickly run through what I wrote here and then we can talk about it. All right. Is this making any sense to you? I'm sure if you have not watched the first video, I'm going to link it somewhere. If you watch that video, you will see where we're coming from the background. Why am I calling something like agriculture, human reproduction, witnesses? I'm sure you watch that, you would understand. It's just like in logic. When I studied logic and philosophy of science, I learned that you cannot just come and make a blanket statement like, oh, all men are wicked. That's a conclusion that you didn't back up with 1, 2, 3. Like you need to have like premises. Then you can now draw a conclusion. For example, my father was wicked. My boyfriend was wicked. All my friends have wicked men in their lives. All men are wicked. Okay, we see where you're coming from. So you have all these premises. That is why we have different witnesses to back up a particular principle to find out if it is true. All right. So the second witness, reproduction follows a similar pattern. As a mother, I can speak about human reproduction. The fact that one invisible seed connects to an invisible egg to form the smallest identifiable human entity, also visible to the eyes, could be presumed alive. One cell, one living cell, that is all it takes to grow into a Bailey. But I know that there is a school of thought that believes that this cell is not a living thing. I don't believe it. I was watching YouTube and I heard a number of young men that are categorized as pro-choice. And they said the word they used was, it is a clump of cells. When I went for my first ultrasound, I did not feel any movement in my tummy. My physique did not change. I still had a very flat tummy. But then I heard the heartbeats, and then I saw a human-looking being inside my tummy through the ultrasound. I cannot explain how I felt, but I know one thing for sure. That was not a clump of cells. I was a whole human being growing inside me. So isn't it funny how, just like seeds grow, humans also grow inside the womb of a woman? These are obeying the same principle of increase, the same principle of prosperity. So let's progress to the next pattern. Just like the seed dies physically, becomes spiritual, which I believe, and the spiritual in turn gives birth to a physical form that has the ability to multiply. Something happens when the seed of a man meets with the egg of a woman. There is a form of death, initial death, that happens to some parts of the seed. Let's see what the National Institute of Health has to say about that. They said, during fertilization, the acrosome, a part of the sperm head that contains enzymes necessary to penetrate the egg, essentially dies or is used up once it releases its enzymes to break through the egg's outer layer, allowing the sperm to fuse with the egg. This is known as the acrosome reaction. Meanwhile, I'm going to add the link to this article that I'm reading from. It's on my blog, so you can look at it. You know what makes science so valuable? Science is an experience, an answer to questions, a study of creation to explain reality, right? So when you see an explanation like this, it makes sense to you because they got it through experiments and observation, which is why I'm always big on experiences. Experience, where you don't just take everything you hear, just dig a little bit deeper. The ones you can experience, the ones you can watch or witness, so that you can know for sure. That reminds me, earlier today, I posted something on social media. I said, have you ever researched to find out the history, the validity of your religious belief? Because our religious belief is one of the things that it's like culture. We grew up with it. So we just go about quoting things that we have not researched. It is really, really eye-opening to do that because you have conviction, you understand the principles, or you see the deception. It makes you well-rounded. I'm going to talk a lot about some of the things I've discovered. And I hope this is something that resonates with you because this conversation is between me and you. I want to listen to you. I'm going to be through all your comments. And you can even DM me. I will continue this conversation. I'll be interested in hopping on a live chat as well with you. So please, don't be a stranger. Thank you so much for being here. You're the reason why I'm creating this content. I'm making this video at 11 p.m. But the truth is, listening to my heart, I feel this nudge to strike up this conversation. And I'm not going to ignore it because I know better. And lots of people have helped me by posting on social media. And I'm not going to be an exception. This is the right thing to do. This is a way for me to show gratitude or most especially because you are special. You are special to me. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get back to human reproduction. This is my take. Anything that can increase has both a physical and spiritual reality. Transformation requires some form of physical death so that the old can give birth to the new. If you call it death, that's fine. That's a physical way to talk about it. But if you call it change, thumbs up to you. That means you're spiritually intelligent. Now, the question is, when something fails or when something dies, when business, an idea, a relationship, something, do you call it death or do you call it change? Think about it. Just consider your creativity, your artistic expression, your business, your marriage, your relationships. When they don't turn out the way you thought they would, when it seemed like they failed, or in fact, when it actually fails and falls apart, do you call it death or do you call it change? Think about it. So let's get back to human reproduction. Do you see how seed time and harvest apply here? One man and one woman can be responsible for producing billions of humans. Two children produce four children produce eight produce 64, and so on and so forth. Now we have billions of humans on earth. That is how prosperity works. However, the same individual with the ability to reproduce can also truncate the process based on how they care for the seed during planting season. At the inception, what you do can make your seed to grow or hinder the growth of your seed, whether it is a plant you're trying to cultivate or a human being that is growing inside of you. Once that viable seed takes root, growth becomes easier. There are some of the aspects of a growing child in the womb that science cannot explain. It's incredible. And the harvest is almost always guaranteed. And I know that it is easy to just go with the flow, just, don't ask any questions, just go about life without any expectations or any improvement. But I know that some people have this burden in their hearts to impact the world, to make the world better. And these people are generally called ambitious. And sometimes it is seen as a bad thing. But ambition is not a bad thing. And then the ideas that you have, you discard them. I said, no, not anymore. I have been a victim for too long. And I said, no, we don't have to discard these ideas. We are looking at a world that is bursting with inventions from people's ideas. And we can definitely make this all better with our ideas. It's just that at that planting season, we are discouraged because it takes a toll. Just like the first trimester is the most challenging trimester. It's funny, when the pregnancy is huge, it's not as disturbing as when it is even invisible. And guess what? What happens to a woman happens to the earth. The earth feels the pressure of the seed becoming a tree. But what happens to the ambitious? What happens to the creative? Their mind bears the pressure of that germination. And so the information and the support that you get at this time is very, very crucial. That's the reason why I am part of Auspicious. That's what we do. Help you nurture your ideas into fruition. All right, I just had to mention it because it's a huge need. We need it now more than ever. Finally, business. Business is spiritual. It starts with the seed of your ideas. A potent seed that shows up like ideas in your mind. These ideas may initially be limited to your current experiences. That is why experiences usually stemming from failed attempts could guide you to discover those potent seeds. So don't joke with your failed attempts. They are golden. So I heard a scientist in a podcast say that pressure turns rock, carbon, sand into diamond. Are you telling me that this diamond is made from the elements of earth, which is rock and sand, and the transformation happened because of pressure? That is exactly what happens when you have so many failed attempts. The next one will always be better than the next one, just like that. And it's funny how you may have to fail as 100 businesses to be able to finally have one thriving business. Do you think all those other ones were wasted attempts? Never, ever, ever consider that. That is a much needed pressure. That is a much needed experience to make you get that perfect idea that has the ability to survive. It's funny how science records that before a child is formed, the smallest version of a child, which is one cell, millions of seeds have to die. Even when I planted with my auntie, sometimes we have to put like 15 to 20 seeds in one spot. But all we need is one to germinate. What happened to the rest? So some of these ideas might not be potent, but you would never know until you try and fail. It is not a bad thing to fail. I can't emphasize that enough. But you continue to see failed attempt as failure, your results will not change. But what if for a moment you decide to view failure as a coin and then flip it? What is the other side of failure? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. What is on the other side of failure? Now let's move on. Everyone possesses the seed of business, but not everyone will plant it. And what I mean by that seed is your ideas. Typically, the ambitious are the ones who do. However, the meaning of ambition has often been misrepresented. You are more likely to learn how to manage or administer a business in school than how to create one, because an idea is not something you study. It is something you already have. Your circumstances can inspire you to unearth it. So just like agriculture and reproduction, what you do during the planting season could make or break the development of your business idea. In agriculture, growth takes place on earth, and the earth feels the pressure, like I said before. In reproduction, the process occurs within the female who bears the discomforts. But in contrast, business seeds germinate in the mind, leading to a mental experience that can break, mold, and build you. So consider the physical death experience that occurs when a seed is planted, or when some part of the human seed die off, taking birth to a new one that grows into a baby. This means you will experience a change on your journey to prosperity. It's going to be a transformation. So the big question here is, are you willing to change to create that prosperity? I believe that a lot of things separate us, like the language you speak, the color of our skin, our religion. But there is something beautiful and uniting about business. Even someone that you don't believe in their religion could offer you a job and you do it. So what is that thing about business that is so precious? I tend to call it prosperity. Business has that thriving quality. And once you start to look at life from the lens of a business person, a seed will become very meaningful, even if you don't have enough. There is so much to unearth when it comes to how to create prosperity, because prosperity is spiritual and it stems from your identity. That's what I'm going to talk about in the next video, your identity. if you don't discover who you are, you will be fragmented. You'll become, for instance, me. I'll be a teacher, a singer, a pianist, a mother. Like, you will be fragmented. You'll be like 20 things. But I realized that who you are, your identity is one thing. Then what you do is an expression of your identity. So what you do is not who you are, but who you are can be expressed by what you do. So it is not out of place to say, oh, I am. You mention what you do. No. But it doesn't replace who you are. When I figured it out, it was mind-blowing. It's like when you're describing God, who is God? God is God. But you can describe God based on what he does, like creator, God creates. When he provides, provider. When he heals, healer. But that doesn't mean that healing is everything about God, or you need to separate all these things that have different gods. No, it's one thing. And so we're going to unpack it. The question of who you are can be ambiguous, but the next video I'm going to simplify it using my example. When I was able to find out one thing, just one thing that's like every other thing I ever did, or every other thing that I would ever do can conveniently enter into that one umbrella. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's wholeness. No wonder God's math for marriage is 1 + 1 = 1. And no wonder 1 is the number of God in numerology, because it's something about unity. So let's come back to business. I want you to see this business. And if we want to simplify the two types of people we have in the world, we have two types of people. We have people that like to eat, which the Bible would call eater. And then we have people that like to plant, which the Bible would call a sower. Now, in types of scarcity, when you have just one seed, an eater will see it as insufficient bread. But a sower will see it as the beginning, the source of prosperity. So my big question for you today is, who would you rather be? An eater or a sower? Thank you so much for hanging with me. I'm going to see you real soon. And congratulations to the United States of America that just inaugurated a new president. I heard the president talk about prosperity in his speech about America becoming prosperous again. And you all know that I'm all about prosperity. So let's see. I'm excited for a country that has a businessman in the seat of power. Let's see how a businessman would run the country compared to someone that is not a businessman. I sincerely pray and hope for a good tenure for the new president of the United States. So that would bring our conversation today to a close. Thank you so much for hanging with me, and I'm going to see you real soon with the video on how to answer who are you. Bye for now.